These are 4 true horror stories from people who work the night shift. Sometimes the scariest things live right in your workplace. 1. The non-guest. I worked the night shift as a hotel attendant during college. My main responsibility was to check guests in and out and answer any questions they might have. One night I was working the front desk and this guy checks in. I greet him and ask how his stay is going so far, and he replies, "It's been great. I love your hotel." He said it in this weird tone like he wasn't even looking at me. I gave him his key and he headed up to his room. About 30 minutes later, he comes back down and asks if I have any recommendations for food. I told him about this restaurant not too far from the hotel. He thanks me and goes on his way again. But within 10 minutes, he's back down, and now he's sitting in the lobby just staring off into space, still in that same weird tone. I asked him if everything was okay, and he replied, "Oh yeah, I'm fine. Do you mind if I sit here for a bit?" He said it in such a creepy manner. I knew something was off about him, but I let him stay in the lobby. Weirdly enough, he ended up staying for about 4 hours. Every now and then he would walk around the hotel or stand outside of the rooms and just stare at them. I tried to ignore it and just focus on my work. But every time he came back from doing whatever he was doing outside, he would say the exact same thing. "Oh yeah, I'm fine." It was driving me crazy. I decided to call the police. They arrived and searched the man and then arrested him. Turns out he used a stolen credit card to reserve the room and he was never actually a guest. 2. Paul the Stalker. I work at a gas station near an elementary school off exit 8 on the turnpike. One night I was closing and this guy, Paul, comes in. He gets some snacks and goes to pay. As he's paying, he looks up at me and says, "You must be tired." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's been a long day." He says, "You should go home." I'm like, "I can't. It's my closing shift." Then he says, "Are you married?" And I'm like, "No, why do you want to know?" And he responds, "Just checking." It's really weird. I just ignore him and go about my business. A few minutes later, he's done and he goes outside. I see him get into a blue van. I think to myself, "Weird dude," and go back to stalking. About 10 minutes go by and I hear the door open. I look up and it's him again. He walks up to the counter and grabs a napkin. He proceeds to write down his phone number on it and says, "Here's my number. Call me sometime." And then he puts the napkin under the register. I look at him and ask, "What do you want me to do with that?" And he says, "You know what to do." I instantly call the cops. When the cops come, they find a notebook in his car that has the times I clocked in and out and all of my personal info. 3. Suspicious cars. I work at a gas station and there's this one particular gas station that always creeps me out because it's so run down. There's broken glass everywhere, trash, old oil drums, like anything you wouldn't want to see at a gas station. Anyways, one night I was closing and this car pulls up. It's pretty beat up and there's no license plate on it. The guy gets out and goes inside and starts asking for a pack of cigarettes. The whole time I'm thinking, is he casing the place? He gets his smokes and slowly starts walking towards the door. As he's walking, he looks at me and says, "You work nights, don't you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, what's it to you?" He just smiles and says, "Nothing, nothing," and walks out. I chalk it up to a one-off and go about my business. Next night, same exact thing. Another car without a license plate pulls up and a different guy gets out and comes inside. This guy doesn't say anything. He just stands there and stares at me while I'm making his coffee. I don't know how long we just stand there, but it felt like forever. Once he gets his coffee, he walks out to his car and gets in. I watch him drive off, and that's when another car pulls up. This car has 2 guys in it, and they're both looking towards the store. The driver stops the car and turns to the passenger and points towards the door and the clerk. The passenger then does the same and smirks. They drive off. I immediately call the cops. They're like, "Yeah, we got a couple of reports of suspicious cars around here. Thanks." I truly believe those guys were trying to scope the place out to rob it. 4. The man under the desk. I work at a motel. One night I was cleaning rooms and I kept hearing the front desk bell ring, but no one was there. So I thought it was funny to sit at the front desk to try to catch whoever was ringing the bell. After about 15 minutes of sitting there, I heard the bell ring again. I looked down and saw a pale hand reach up and ring it. I screamed and moved back, then hid in the corner. A person crawled out from under the desk and started walking around the lobby. I ran to the back office, locked myself in, and called the police. When they arrived, they told me the door had been propped open with a rock. I don't know where he went, but at least he didn't hurt me. More creepy stories in the comments.